Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Founders Craft Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez, and today we're going to hear from my good friend, Todd Mullins, who's also my pastor for Christ Fellowship. And so he's going to share a little bit about core values that drive how they hire and the volunteers that they bring on their team. Let's jump right in. So I want to talk a little bit about your culture at Christ Fellowship, at your organization. I know that you have various things that you look at to help you stay focused as a team, focused as a group, even as volunteers. So, when you think about maybe your core values, leadership values, what does that look like at Christ Fellowship that maybe we can learn from?
Yeah, well, people say all the time that, culture is king, that you can have bad strategy, but if you've got good culture, you're going to get where you're going, right?
Yeah.
Because people are going to want to be a part of what is happening there. And I think we have worked really hard at Christ Fellowship to define and articulate and cultivate a healthy culture. Every organization has a culture, either by default or by design. Mm-hmm. It's either by default, what's just picked up, who has the strongest personality, or it's by design. It's very intentional. It's very prescribed. There's intentionality. There's accountability to the culture. And so what we have decided at the church is we want to make sure our culture is not just left up to whoever's got the strongest personality.
Right.
But we want to go, this is who we are, and this is why we do what we do, and how we do what we do is just as important as what we do. Exactly. So we're going to talk about that how. And for most churches, I'll speak for I'm a pastor. Most churches are built around, they've got core beliefs. And most evangelical churches are going to be kind of the same in their core beliefs. Then there's core values, and that's the different values that different organizations, or in my case, a church, would emphasize. Whether it's giving, or whether it's serving in the community, or a commitment to excellence. Those are all going to be and we have those core values. We used to have 12 core values, which were too many for anybody to remember.
Sure.
I couldn't remember them, and I was a pastor on staff. So we actually went through a process of redefining and rearticulating those core values, making them sticky and easy for people. We brought them down to 5. They were simply all for one, inside out, grow to go, live to give, and a passion for people. And each one of those have taglines on the side of them and scriptures that support it. But it's easy for people to understand. Oh, that's why we live to give. We don't live to hold on to what we got. We want to give our time and our energy, and we have a way so we can build around those, and that helps to build a culture within an organization, or teams within the organization. But we found ourselves constantly saying to different people or different teams, well, that's just not how we do it, or that's not the Christ Fellowship way. We do it this way. And what we found out is we really had some leadership values. It was like another set of values that they don't bring confusion. It's not like, oh, here's another whole set of values I have to know. They actually bring clarity to our leaders, so they know how to lead their teams and how to communicate to their teams. Yeah. And so we have 10 leadership values. I won't go over all of them with you, but a couple of them that I wanted to share were first, we are servants and stewards first. That's one of we're right from the beginning. Our first value is that we are servants and stewards first. So for us, Jesus said, even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life away for many. And so we say, as followers of Jesus, serve and give better be the 2 words that define my leadership and my life. Well, that changes a culture. Yeah. It changes how I lead my department. It changes how I lead my teams. It changes, I'm serving them and I'm giving, right? So if you ask some people on our directors, senior directors, what's your job, or what do you do here at Christ Fellowship? They would not say, I'm over the children's department. I'm the leader. They wouldn't say that. The words they would use is, I look after. I look after the children's department. I look after this team. It's an idea of, I'm stewarding it, I'm caring for it, but I'm really a servant to the people I lead. Another one of our leadership values that you and I talked about is that we are thermostats, not thermometers. Yeah. And so what is behind that is a thermometer just kind of reads the environment. It tells you what the temperature is. It doesn't do anything. Just like, it's this degrees, this is what it is. But a thermostat is setting the temperature. Thermostat is saying, I want it to be 72 degrees, and I'm going to work constantly to keep it 72 degrees. If it starts getting a little too hot, I'm going to bring it back down. If it starts getting a little too cold, I'm going to bring it back up. A Thermostat is aware, alert, proactive. And so we tell our team, you guys are thermostats. Everywhere you go, you are setting the temperature. Everywhere you go, you are setting the tone. Everywhere you show up at a meeting, when you show up at church, when you show up, in the hallways, if you're opening up the doors for people, whatever you're doing, man, you are setting the tone and the temperature wherever you go.
And that creates accountability. It creates consistency.
Ownership.
They
understand that it's not just what happens in this meeting over there, or it's not just up to who's ever leading the meeting, but I'm going to step into the meeting. Ready, even though I may not be leading the meeting, I'm stepping in, setting the tone, because our job is to be a thermostat.
Now, let me ask you, so thinking about that particular leadership value, and even the first one about being a servant leader, in essence, every business, right? We are in a position to serve others. And I think many people sometimes forget that a business is to serve their customer. They think about, well, we exist, we're just selling product, we're selling goods, but they don't always think about who they're serving. So I love how that is really your first leadership value, and it's really a perfect model that Jesus modeled for us on how we should serve others through our businesses and our organizations. When you think about the thermostat versus the thermometer analogy, how did that come about? Was this something that you more based on, it would be nice to have something like this, let's do that? Or was it more of a, wow, this is taking place, we really should reevaluate how we approach?
Great question. Yeah. So what we did, my wife and I spent a few days, because my wife and I lead together. We ought to do another breakout here one of these days about husbands and wives leading together in their businesses, because there's a whole dynamic of that.
Yes, there is.
Save it for another podcast. But we spent several days going, what do we want our team to know? What do we find ourselves constantly telling our team or teaching our team or coaching our team up in that we actually need to build some language around? We need to give them language, because we can't hold them accountable for something we haven't taught them with a system. Right. We can't expect them to teach the teams they're leading if I haven't given them some handles to hold on to.
Yeah.
And so that's where we came up. We said, we want to make sure that when our team shows up for services on the weekend, we got lots of services happening everywhere, that they're not standing in the back or sitting off to the side, or they're just showing up with their family. We want them on the front row.
Yeah.
We want them singing louder than anybody else. We want them, if they see a need somewhere, that they're jumping up and they're cleaning the bathrooms. They're doing it because they own it. They're setting the tone for it. So the way we came up with that analogy is, I don't remember which one of us, probably my wife, came up with, we really want them to be setting the temperature. They're going to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. Another one that we have that is we tell them, and this kind of ties in with that, is that we say, we want you to create environments that are full of it. And so we tell them around here that if people come up and say, you are so full of it, that's actually a compliment, right? We want to create an environment that's full of faith, full of family, and full of fun. And so again, this ties into that thermostat, but it takes it a level deeper. So full of faith. That means, man, when you come to church on the weekends, you're not just coming to see what you can receive. You have enough faith for others around you. You've been prayed up. You're ready to give out. You're ready to pray with people. They may be in the hallway. They may not even be in the sanctuary, but they need something. And you're ready to, in faith, give them something that they may not have, because they may be walking in after a rough week. They might have been fighting with their family in the car.
Exactly.
And you need to be ready, full of faith. We also say we want to be full of family, because we see that one of the greatest longings in people is we long to belong. We long to have a place where we're loved and accepted just as we are. And I believe that God wants this place, his church, to be the place where people can find their place, no matter where they are. And so we want to create a place that is family. And so that changes how we treat people. We're not formal, we're family.
Yeah.
And there's a place for you. You can belong before you believe. There's a place for you. So that, and then full of fun, we believe that church should be enjoyed, not endured. We want this to be the best hour and 15 or 20 minutes, if I preach too long, that you're at in your given week, that your kids want to be here. When we throw parties for our volunteers, I mean, it is an all-out party. I mean, we had high schoolers that posted on their social media accounts, my church throws the best parties. And I'm like, how cool would it be if they go up to college thinking their church throws the best parties, right? Yeah. So again, it's what we expect out of our team to set those kind of tone. So we want to make sure we give them language to be able to establish the culture. I really would challenge business leaders and entrepreneurs, that as you're establishing the culture of your organization, or maybe you need to, like we had to go back and reestablish it and rewrite it, that you give some language to how you want people to feel, how you want them to walk away from whatever they've had an encounter with one of your employees or your business. What is that sense that you want them to walk away with? And then put descriptive language around what you want your team to do to create that environment.
I like that. And so it's really thinking about the emotional well-being of the people you interact with, and then describing the ideal, and then working backwards.
Because we all know what it feels like when we go in a restaurant that has good culture, right? It doesn't have to be an expensive restaurant like Chick-fil-A. You go in Chick-fil-A and they've got a culture of second mile, second nature.
Exactly.
It's not out of their nature to go the second mile.
Right.
It is a part of who they are, and they're actually genuinely glad you're there, right?
It catches you by surprise.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow. Okay.
And this is not like fine dining, but it's like, oh, you actually are smiling and grateful for my $10 business today.
Exactly.
And I always leave feeling encouraged, right? And so we know when we've been around good culture and what that does to us, it makes me want to go back. And then there's other places, restaurants we've gone into, that they could care less if you're there. Exactly. You almost seem like an inconvenience to what they need to get done that day. I never want to go back there.
Right.
So we all want our businesses to be places where people want to come back, because what we want to give them is important.
I love it.
One of our other leadership values is what I'm a part of is bigger than the part I play. So what I'm a part of is bigger than the part I play. What that does on a couple levels. One is it helps me understand that the organization I'm a part of, for me it's the church, even in the role I'm in as the senior leader, what I'm a part of is bigger than me. What the mission of the organization, the mission of our church, what we're doing together in our region, what we're believing God for. It's a big thing, but it's bigger than me. So it's going to call me up. It's going to make me stretch to be a little bit more than I've been. And it doesn't keep it so centered on me. It keeps it focused on the mission of the organization and on the team. And it's also going to require me at times to maybe do some things I don't want to do, or that I don't really feel like I'm so gifted to do that. But what I'm a part of is bigger than the part I play. So I'm going to step in and do what I need to do.
And that creates that self-development, that creates the desire to constantly improve, right? Find areas of weakness and improve in that area, constantly reading up on what's next, what's new, just to stay on top of it.
Another one is we tell our team, ministry is a get to, not a got to. So the moment you start feeling like, oh, I've got to do this, no, you don't. They're hiring down at Home Depot.
Right.
They're hiring at Chick-fil-A. On our team, this is not a got, this is a get to.
Right.
This is a privilege what we get to do. And so we set that tone in a healthy way, not in a we joke about it, but it does remind you that what we get to be a part of here is a pretty special thing. And you want to create that same environment in whatever organization you've got and leaders you've got, that we're going to do some really cool things. It's a get to. So those extra hours, may feel like got to, but it's not a got to, because you don't got to. You can go do something else, but this is a get to.
And that value is even something that I think many organizations could benefit from, because when you put your customer first, right? Your customer, or the individual that your organization reaches, you get to serve them, right? It's not a got to, it's a get to, because they're the ones coming to you now for that help or that service or that added value. When you treat that particular opportunity with weight, it allows you to serve them that much better, right? And now you're no longer taking it for granted, but you're doing it out of joy and out of that servant leadership. So I love what you shared with about how you guys develop your values, and I encourage anyone really who's listening to take some insight from some of the values that you've shared and think about how that could fit within their own organization. So
one last thought: we take those values and we work them into every staff lesson that we've got. So whenever our team's getting together for team meetings, or there's a good report of something that happened in one of our areas of ministry departments, we always tie it back to, well, that's because you understood you were a thermostat and you set the tone, and because of that we're celebrating this today, or because you were willing to be bigger than you felt, you stepped outside of your comfort zone because of what you are a part of. You were helping to make that happen for that community and the work we did over there. And so we're always anchoring it back to the core values and to the leadership values, so that our team sees the connection between what they do and how they do what they do.
I love it. Well, Todd, thanks for joining me today on the Founders Craft podcast. And again, for those of you who want to know more about Christ Fellowship, go to gochristfellowship.com and you'll find out all the information about their church and what they're doing in South Florida. Thank you.